Good evening, I'm Najahe Sherman, live from Fort Myers Beach, and I've been bringing you extended coverage throughout the day on the 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Ian. Throughout the day, we've brought you amazing stories of recovery and resilience, but also, I think, brought you a clear picture of how much recovery that this community still has left to get back to where they were. Some of them say they never think Fort Myers will be what it was, and that now they are dealing with a new normal. But thank you for staying with us on our live stream, CBSNewsMiami.com. You may also be joining us from Pluto TV or the CBS News app. But for this extended coverage, I wanted to bring you a couple different angles. We talk a lot about recovery and rescue, and it's the first responders who, in the midst of the most devastation and the midst of that storm, saved so many lives. So I want to bring in now the Assistant Fire Chief for Fort Myers Beach, Chris Armiger. Thank you so much for coming out to the beach and being with us.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
So here we are 1 year later. First, just reflect, what's it like to see, restaurants like the one behind us open when you know the extent of the devastation that pounded this area?
Sure. Yeah, it's exciting for everybody on the island. It really renews a sense of community to what we had lost to a drastic degree for a long period of time. The island has always been very community centric. It's a very tight-knit community. It's a family of neighbors and friends, and to have opportunities like this to socialize and gather and be together as a community is very welcomed, and it makes it feel like I think today they call it the revive part of our weekend of events, and it really is what it is.
I want to talk a little bit about what emergency responders went through, because I just think of the depth of experience. I mean, so essentially what you have is people who are dealing with tragedy in their own personal lives, and then going out to rescue and help people also hard hit. So just a dual question. First of all, how is your team doing? And how did you make it through that?
So I think everybody is doing very, very well. We were tested just a few weeks ago with the last hurricane that came through, and it was a much less significant event. But that was something that we paid particular attention to, was to make sure that everybody's, heads were in the game, they were ready to perform. We have offered throughout the year opportunities for community, for mental health, and peer, we call it peer support in kind of our business. So those opportunities are extended and very valuable to all the members. That's something we try to really pay attention to. But we just talked about this at a meeting last night, a commissioner meeting, and I had brought up in that response to the storm just a few weeks ago, it was business. Head was in the game, and guys and girls were ready to roll, and they were working. And I think that you can see that they are disciplined when it comes to duty, and I think that that's something I recognize. I don't know if that's a term that's been coined at all or means anything, but it makes a lot of sense to me. They were tested a year ago and performed outstanding, and not at all that this is something you want to be practiced at, but they were disciplined, they were ready for their duty, and they performed their duty. It's really to an outstanding level. So
that's incredible, and I love how you say that you've brought in sort of this mental health component, because I think in this day and age, that's something that a lot of different departments and organizations are realizing that is so valuable after going through such extremely stressful and traumatic circumstances, that mental health component, making sure that they are of sound mind and doing okay themselves, is so important. So just talk to me about that. Where are they in terms of their mental health?
Yeah, I think everybody's doing very, very well. We've really focused a lot on training, on development, preparation for events like this, and maximizing the experience that we gained from the previous event. So in terms of mental preparation for the storm, knowing what to expect, how we operate in these natural hazard incidents, not that we've probably gained some level of confidence that we can perform, and that allows emotional space and brain space to focus on personal needs. You're not so nervous, so intimidated about the event. You can operate with confidence, with speed, with efficiency for the customer, and it allows you that latitude to set yourself, to place yourself, to know that your family's secure, know that your family's safe, that you can come to work. When you come to work, we talked about this before, leaving the shelter for the previous storm last year was, hey, we're gonna roll out of this shelter, and we're going home. We're coming to the island. and it's our house. So like, you gotta clock in, ready to work. And they were ready, man. They jammed it out. They did awesome. So super proud. It was just a blessing to have these guys and the girls, and they did it, man. They came in and just nailed it. It was awesome. Once in a lifetime thing, But I mean, heroes. It was a hero day, and they were heroes, and they did it again 2 weeks ago. It was awesome. So I think we have a tight community. We're brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters, they bicker, you fight. It happens. But it's a good thing. It means you're comfortable enough around each other to have those kind of little things, and then and that only strengthens the bonds further later. So, but yeah, I think everybody's in a very good place. We were so fortunate; none of our members had any catastrophic issues with their homes or their families. So we were really lucky to be able to come to work, know that our families were taken care of. Like I said before, all out of that shelter, legit, we huddled up and it's time to go to work. Head in the game, check your partner, and let's do it. And we did. We showed up, and they killed it. They did a great job. So super proud.
Are there any stories that stand out in your mind, inspirational stories of triumph, stories of where you just think back and you're just so incredibly proud? I know you're proud of all of them, but anything that stands out in your mind?
Sure. I mean, there's a list of them, but I can tell you, we came over that bridge the following morning, and we integrated with the USAR team from Miami that was here, and they were in the parking lot just behind us where Margaritaville is now. It was vacant then, and so that's where they had set up their base operations. We integrated with that team, and so the mission is everything. That first day, you roll in here, and there's just an infinite amount of things to do. So the mission is always people, right? People. So let's get out there, let's save people, let's help people, let's do what we can do for people. And but the specific missions are vague. There's so much to do, it's easy to get overwhelmed. So I segue all that to, hey, what can we do? What can we do to be the most effective for the people? We integrated with the USAR team. We put members of our team on the larger, test the larger IMT team, and we went out there for search and rescue, and we used our knowledge of the island. Street signs are missing. Nobody knows where anything is. There's no landmarks. There's no orientation. So for the rescuers that were here to help manage that incident, our team getting in there and merging with those guys and girls and being able to orient the island and move with speed and efficiency. It's all speed and efficiency. Speed and efficiency to get to people, prioritizing people over things. We drove past the fire stations and we kept driving. That's not our priority. Our priorities are the citizens, our community, our neighbors. They're the customers, and that's who we're here for. So, like I said, there's a lot of little stories, but to integrate, merge with those teams, you're working with strangers, people you've never met before. But that fraternity exists in the fire service at every level. So, hey, how you doing? We're best friends, and let's go. And we went to work, and it was outstanding.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really interesting point because I've been in communities that have been ravaged by tornadoes, and you don't think that when you're looking for people to rescue, there are no street signs, there are no landmarks. There's really nothing to identify where these houses once stood. And so talk a little bit about that utter and complete devastation, and then trying to find people in the midst of communities that are unrecognizable.
Sure. Yeah, so a lot of it, like I said, we kind of relied on our knowledge and orientation of the island with all those landmarks, all those street signs missing. But, you have some of the larger buildings, the ones that really sustain the weather. Those were easily recognizable. So we could kind of orient almost with grids to the canal system on the bay side of the island. We kind of knew with those canal systems and the larger buildings that remain, we kind of set, the island is 8 miles, so you have your 1,000 block, 2,000 block, 3,000 block. We know those landmarks, those taller buildings that set those blocks, so we're able to build our grids and blocks based on that orientation and the canal system on the bay side of the island. But then you see, that's a larger scale example, but you're going down the street and you look and you see that beautiful blue house with all the gingerbread in the front porch, and that's not supposed to be there. That's supposed to be a half a mile down the island. So that's Mrs. Beckner's house, and you're like, well, I got to find Mrs. Beckner because her house is there. So, but who you're looking for, and that was the neat thing. I looked at that address in Nature View Court, and I'm like, that's Mrs. Beckner. I gotta go find Mrs. Beckner. She's not here. And that's a tremendous benefit of being such a small community is we take care of our neighbors.
Yeah, and you say that's a good thing, but that's also the really tough thing, I think, because you know these people. You go to church with these people. You eat at the diner with these people. So when you see that house and that person isn't in there, you have a whole different level of connection. We've been forecasting these storms. We know they're coming. I talked to a lot of people during my time here who are longtime Floridians, and they said, we've ridden out storm after storm. We thought this was going to be okay. So what would your plea be to the community moving forward after enduring Ian and knowing that we're still in the midst of hurricane season, to heed the warning in terms of especially the weight and the challenge it puts on emergency responders if they choose not to?
So I would just say that the island specifically for us, we have in the fire service, we say a building under fire is a building under demolition. It's a weakened structure. It's already going in at a deficit. So the island, our island, is very much like that. It's been damaged and it's in a state of disrepair right now, but it's certainly on its way up. That being said, it takes a lot more resources to service the island. You can expect a worse outcome from smaller events. So in our community, I would say certainly consider that, and just don't. It's not worth the risk. Please, go use a shelter. You find family, friends, whatever you need to do. Take a little vacation. Go away for the weekend. Come back. That's terrific. For people outside of our community, I would say to use this as an example of it's easy to. You grow up in a community and you can see it. You live a lifetime here for some people, and you see what it can take, and you develop a sense of confidence with that. And everybody's a champion until they're not, right? So sometimes, you wear that big belt, you're the heavyweight champ, and then one day you're not. So it just takes that one time, and then you got to get squared away and get ready for the next fight. So. Use our community as an example to recognize, those warnings, all the hurricane plans, emergency management is squared away. They know what they're talking about. So take their advice, and when those warnings and those watches and all those things come in, especially when evacuation orders come in, heed them.
Yeah, if not for your sake, at least for the sake of emergency responders who are risking their own lives to go into these structures to rescue you. Any final words, anything else that you would like to share on this 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Ian about the future and looking ahead for this community?
Yeah, I think I've spent almost my whole lifetime here, just over the bridge. I live, 5 minutes over the bridge, and I've lived in this neighborhood almost my whole life since I was 10. And I'm very excited to see what it will become. I think the future is very bright. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity, and it might look different, but I think that the people will remain. We haven't lost the community. It's just going to look different. And I think that's exciting. There's a lot of opportunity in the future. But like I've said several times, we're all neighbors. We're all, we're a community of friends and neighbors, and that'll sustain until the next generation, and it'll proceed. I believe that. So I think that we will always maintain what has made us the beach. It'll just be shinier, bigger and taller.
Well, thank you so much for your most amazing life-saving work and for the life-saving work of all of the emergency responders under your watch. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, so throughout the evening, we've had this amazing backdrop with live music and a very festive feel, and really a testament to the resilience of this community. So I want to bring in now the owner of the restaurant, the owner of La Ola, Thomas Houghton. Please come in. The music has been amazing tonight.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
So.
It's been a great day. I'm just very grateful to be part of something like this.
So first, just walk us through, for people not familiar, what did this area look like after Hurricane Ian, just to show how far we've come?
What did it look like after the storm? It was, the buildings were all basically pushed into a big pile of big pile of sticks, basically. Everything was sucked in like it was going into a toilet, going that way, and there was nothing left of the front row of buildings, and all the buildings collapsed on each other. So.
And I hear around town they say that you were one of the first places to come back to the beach and set up and provide food to people. And you weren't making a lot of money from the business, but you were essentially providing a service because people were just so grateful to have a place to eat.
Yeah, my head chef and I went over in early October over to your neck of the woods over in Miami and purchased a food trailer, which I'd never had before, and it took us about a month to get it all licensed and ready to go, and our first customers were actually right here in this parking lot next to us. They were all wearing hard hats, and part of the recovery and digging people's houses out and doing search and rescue.
And so to see them, dealing with their own, and even you were dealing with the aftermath yourself, but you're still trying to find ways to give back to the community. I mean, where does that come from?
I don't know. I think it helps me more than it helps the community just to be part of that, giving me goals to achieve and milestones, celebrating the small victories.
And small victories to huge victories. I mean, you got a full house tonight. That has to, on this 1-year anniversary, feel pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful day, to see all the people smiling again and back together. So that's what it's all about, is getting the community together and realizing, we haven't lost everything. We're still here. We can come back. There's a lot of positive energy today, so it's been great.
What's been the most inspirational part of this day for you?
It's the people, hugging everyone and seeing them back here together again. Yeah.
And what does the future hold for this community?
I think it's going to be great. We've got to stop looking at the real short-term chapter of the book that we're in and look at, it's a novel, and we can write it, and it's going to take a little time. It takes a lot of patience, which I'm not always known for having. I want something done yesterday, but it's going to come. It's going to be different. Everyone's going to be uncomfortable for a long time, including myself, because nobody really knows what the future is. It's from the pier to the whole area just vanished overnight. But I think it's been amazing just seeing the way that the communities come together, and so many. I could thank a million members of the community that have just always, right from the start, just been there with open arms, support, whatever I needed to help me along the way. So, yeah.
Well, if tonight is any sign of things, I think that the future looks so bright, and so I know so many people appreciate everything you've done for the community, and thank you for sharing your story with us, and wishing you nothing but continued success and many full nights like this one. Thank you, sir. Well, throughout the day, we've also been referencing this elevator shaft behind us. You can see it's full of bright, beautiful, vibrant colors, a real sign of resilience for the community. And the story behind this elevator shaft is pretty amazing. Here's my story.
So that's a great question.
Fort Myers business owner Christopher Primo told me he is so proud to see this elevator shaft standing tall. Painted by local artists in bright tropical colors, it has become a symbol of the community's resilience and one of the few remaining structures on Times Square and Fort Myers Beach after Hurricane Ian's wrath.
Everything was gone. Everything was gone except this elevator shaft in Times Square that was attached to a 3-story building that nobody really recognized until you clear everything away. Now you have this elevator shaft standing there that's in shambles.
All of his tenants' businesses were destroyed.
There was 15 feet of water that went through the parking lot, and a house that was across the street washed through our parking lot over a canal. So it was beyond what you could comprehend.
Primo says his father left him and his sister in charge of this family property, and his legacy is very important to them. After making repairs to the last remaining piece of the structure, they wanted to turn it into something beautiful.
And the idea came to put murals on it. And so we put a plea out for some artists. Artists clamored for the opportunity. And it really became this tremendous community symbol of hope and progress.
Artist Lacey McClary and Summer DeSalvo spent weeks painting the murals. McClary spoke to CBS News about the symbol of hope.
I like it, and it's something, you know, you see it from a distance, and it really does. It pops, and people are really happy when they see it.
You realize it can happen, that we can come back from this.
Primo says he knows this is going to be a long recovery process, but he is filled with optimism and faith in the resilience of this community. He says this mural is a testament to a bright future ahead. Thank you for joining us for our extended coverage of the 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Ian. But our coverage doesn't stop. Join us tonight at 9 p.m. on CBS News Miami on TV 33 as we continue to bring you the stories of recovery and resilience. I'm Najahe Sherman, live on Fort Myers Beach.